Hello, welcome to the Speed League podcast from Southern California. I'm Kelly Hansen. We're talking about the second round Hangtown from Pro Motocross. I'm here as always with the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Berkman. So we didn't podcast last week, and I was fully ready to come in this week and just talk about how Jet Lawrence has won 4 motos in a row and is running away with the whole thing. But boy, did that not happen.
That did not happen. And this race was so exciting, so thrilling, had so many levels of, stuff going on. And Jet didn't keep his, 1-1-1-1 alive, which was kind of a bummer to see for him because I know that he's so fast and he kind of deserves to have that. But he made a terrible mistake. And I really looked like he hurt himself pretty bad. I know that he got up, finished the race, and then finished the moto, but he was not looking like himself. So I'm curious. We've been looking to see if there's any update on injuries or if he's going to sit out or if he's going to coast around the track next week as well. And we haven't found anything yet. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But it was a bummer to see Jet go down like that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he finished the first moto and then goes back to the trailer, regroups, comes out, and then rides the entire second moto, albeit, not looking like himself, is, I mean, obviously a sign that, he doesn't have a broken femur. But definitely looking off in stark contrast to Chase Sexton, which, holy shit. I mean, it was a very reminiscent of like a beast mode Tomac level ride at Daytona or something like that.
That was one of the best rides that I could remember in recent history. I mean, he just went balls to the walls. I mean, taking every risk that you could possibly take. I mean, getting sideways, coming in, flinging it around, and somehow held on, almost crashed 16 times and just held on to it and went from last to first place. And that was just amazing to see. And he really did take full advantage of, Jet stumbling, and to see Sexton saying, "Hey, look, you slip up, I'm not here for blood." And he kind of rough passed both Lawrences, not anything, I mean, wrong or anything rude, but it was just, "Hey, look, I'm here, I'm
Coming
fast,
through.
I'm 100%." Yeah, make way. And it was so cool to see. But it was sort of a bummer that Plessinger got passed with a half lap to go. I would have liked to see him get a win,
Half
but
lap. Yeah, it was even closer than that. But I mean, look, you got to give credit where credit is due. I think Sexton was over 7 seconds back with 2 laps to go. I mean, yeah, you lose that much time. It is what it is. And Plessinger at a certain point in that moto was on to take an overall with a 5-1 moto finish, which is crazy in itself. And then ended up third, which, I mean, honestly, after a 5th place in the first moto, to end up on the podium is rad. And good job, Plessinger. But I mean, yeah, Sexton was completely unassailable. And I mean, honestly, I was kind of curious. I mean, what would have happened if Jet had been healthy, the whole day? But also B, just even given what happened, what would have happened if he wouldn't have gone down in the second corner of the second moto? He would have won that moto by 30 or 40 seconds.
Yes, but I think he was riding as fast as he can, taking every risk in the book. And if he would have got a whole shot, I don't think he would be risking it as hard. But it's crazy to see when those guys, say, "Hey, look, I don't care if I fall. It's either win or crash," how fast they could actually go.
Do you feel like he was riding that out of control?
I actually do. I think that he was in that next step up from, okay, there's, fast, a safe fast, and he was riding on the dangerous fast where, he was making just crazy mistakes and getting crazy wild, crazy lines, trying to push harder than he would have if he would have been in the lead.
There was definitely moments in that moto for sure. But yeah, whatever it was, I mean, it's awesome to see someone. He seemed like he was kind of comfortable riding a little out of control, if that makes any sort of sense, which I think is always when someone's the fastest. He really looked like he felt good on the bike, like the bike is figured out and he's ready to push.
Yeah, so obviously we have a shortened season for the like motocross as opposed to supercross. There's only 11 races. With Jet having this little slip up, and Jet now is sixth in the points. Does this kind of give Chase Sexton the edge on being called the like championship favorite, or is it too early to tell? Do you want to wait until next week before we start giving Chase Sexton titles like championship favorite?
I'm definitely not ready to say that, and especially if I knew for a fact that Jet is going to come back 100% next week, I would still probably bet on Jet. But it does look like it's going to be a fight, which is awesome. I mean, I'm so stoked to see that it's going to be a fight and not a runaway like it was last year.
Yeah, for sure. And also the other Lawrence brother has come out swinging. I mean, he's been doing really well, riding really fast, second in points, and it just looks like Hunter's figured something out on that 450. He's been looking good like his younger brother has been.
Yeah, you know what? That's my podium pick actually for next week is Hunter because amidst everyone else kind of going wild, a little bit of ups and downs, including his brother, Hunter 2-2. The last two. I mean that's I mean at least third place, if not just go for second place prediction for Hunter Lawrence for next race. He looks amazing.
Yeah, and like super consistent too. He hasn't really been like riding over his head too much. He doesn't have too much to prove, really like his brother or like, Deegan's coming out just balls to the walls too. And like Hunter, I feel is like riding a smart, consistent race. And I could see why you would put him as your podium lock for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting actually a little bit more into the nitty gritty here of what we're talking about. So, our fantasy league, I won last week, and then you lost last week, and then you and me played each other this week, and you beat me. Actually, our entire league is tied up right now at 1-1.
Yeah, it's definitely close. And like I had a like disaster of a post draft pre first race of the season when I actually went heavy on like 250 guys because like just my like draft position, I feel like people were going heavy 450. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take up some of these like 250 guys that I think are gonna do well. So I drafted Deegan. Okay, good. But then I drafted RJ Hampshire, Cameron
Bad,
McAdoo, Seth
bad.
Hamaker.
That's bad.
So
Yeah.
then all
So,
three got hurt in like a like few day period. So then I had to rush to the like waiver wire. And like luckily there was some guys doing good that were undrafted. For instance, Chance Hymas, who's totally come out of nowhere. And I like subbed him in and he's been kicking ass for me. So it's good at least when your guys get hurt. If it's early in the season and there's those gems, those little diamonds in the rough you could pick up, that it definitely helps.
yeah. So yeah, this is a cautionary tale for you when you're playing in your leagues not to draft too early because we actually one of the guys, Whole Shot King in our league, I think had to take off to Hawaii or something in the middle of the week. So we did a draft on Tuesday before the first race, and a lot of news came out after that Tuesday, and most of it was bad news for Ryan's team.
Yeah, but the good news is, even though I did go heavy 250s, I still have some pretty decent heavy hitters in the 450s. Sexton was my first overall pick, and then I ended up snagging Hunter Lawrence, like we just said, has kind of, overperformed where like most people thought he would be. So I'm happy that I was able to get Sexton and Lawrence, and I'm first place in the league from getting last place in like Supercross. It's nice to finally be where I think that I belong in this fantasy motorsports nonsense. So I'm pretty stoked for that.
Yeah, and you beat me this week with one hand tied behind your back. You kept Cameron McAdoo because you have guys that you're hanging on to on your team and making some substitutes for. You have Cameron McAdoo in, who obviously scored 0 points and still managed to beat me by almost 30.
30. Yeah, so I had a really tough decision to make. So there's only one substitute per class. So then I would have to either drop McAdoo or drop Hammaker to like pick up another guy. So like I was kind of hedging my bets on, okay, there's like 11 races in the season and I feel like I just need one of those guys to like come back. And I don't know when exactly they are, but I feel like, it like should be pretty soon. So I was just hoping that like this week 2, one of them would like come back, and they didn't, obviously. So now I'm just hoping week 3 one of them comes back, so I could at least have a full team in 250s. Week 1 it like didn't work out for me because it ended up losing by a few points to Whole Shot King, where if I would have put someone in there, I like probably would have won. But then this
Yeah,
week it like
yeah.
worked out. So fingers crossed, either Hammock or McAdoo, come back, bro. Come on, buddy.
I was just gonna
Heal
say,
up.
I think this is a mistake because it almost certainly cost you the last matchup, and to lose a matchup over it is, I think, not smart.
But how many matchups will I lose in the future if I, draft someone? Let's say McAdoo comes out, heals, and then starts getting podiums, top fives, and then someone else picks him up, and then I'm losing those points times 10 because it's every race for the entire amount of the season. So I think that I'm losing less season long fantasy points by like taking the L week 1 and then having him for the whole rest of the season. It's a
I
gamble,
th-
but there's
I think it's
different ways
unclear
to look
though.
at it.
I mean, I'm much more inclined to be down with that policy if you have firm answers on when someone's expected to come back. But they've given absolutely no news on McAdoo or Hammaker. They got to be out the whole season for all we know.
Yes, but it's not like they have a broken leg or a broken arm. I mean, it just like seems like they have like shoulder issues that they re-aggravated, but it should be fine. They were planning on coming back race 1, but they went through like a little bit of a crash or a setback to make them not. So it just seems to me one of them should be back week 3, and if they aren't, that's when I might start panicking and then like pick someone else up. But then they'll for sure come back week 4 and I'll be fucked anyway. So I don't know. It's
Yeah,
tough. You got to kind of weigh all the
I mean,
options.
look, this is. I just feel like we're gonna have a conversation a few races from now, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I just fucking finally had to give up on this plan. It is what it is." And you know what? It's already, I mean, cost you in a few ways because I mean, number one, you lost that first race at Fox Raceway, and number two, you beat me
And I
on
would
this
have
one, but you subbed in Chance Hymas
yeah, I would have
instead of
had
just
chance.
dropping one of your guys and picked him up on your team. Now the new week comes around. I picked up Chance Hymas and dropped Jordan Smith because Chance is absolutely killing it. Now I've got Chance, surefire. I mean, he's scoring points right now.
Yes, but that was after 1 week. Chance Hymas did, like decently well. Like he was undrafted in our league. So, I mean, who knows like how he was going to do. And like a lot of people you see maybe do really well 1 week and everyone thinks he's the hot pickup and then he shits the bed like the rest of the week. I think it was like Daxton Binnick in like Supercross got like a podium
Yeah.
week 1. Oh my gosh, you need to add Daxton Binnick right now. And then he ended up like barely getting top 10 for the rest of the season. So, I mean, yes, hindsight, I could say, oh man, I should have dropped Hammaker and then picked up Hymas. Yeah, I like should have and I would have, but it's just the unknown with this fantasy game. You got to kind of hedge your bets, do what you like think's best, and like probably 50% of the time it's going to be the wrong decision. But that was the decision I made, so we'll see how it pans out.
Well, Chance Hymas 4-4, fourth at Fox Raceway, fourth again at Hangtown, coming out of nowhere. I mean, it's not out of that much nowhere because he had a decent season last year, and then he is on the factory Honda, trains with the Lawrence brothers. I mean, this kind of should be expected, but I'm happy to have him as part of my team now. All right, before we move on fully to the 250 class, because 450 class was so wild, and we have other people left to talk about. Justin Cooper with a really, really good week. Go with 4-2. No, I'm sorry, 4-3. That's right. I'm looking at the wrong statistic here. 4-3 and a whole shot. And this is another huge thing with Cooper. And I mean, obviously, he's going to be on someone's team in everybody's league, so it's not like you can run out and pick him up. But Cooper's such a good starter. And he's just getting opportunities to ride and race with the fast guys up front and getting better results because of it. And he's fast too. I mean, he's really fast, but the starts are major.
Yeah, like we'll see. Starts in like motocross, I feel, aren't as important because the races are so long. I mean, obviously, look at Chase Sexton, but it does help, obviously. And if you just start out there with a good start and you're like a decently fast guy and there's a bunch of chaos going on behind you, it is a good place to be. And like Cooper did kind of fall to a few other guys, but I mean, it was cool to see him out there. He was actually one of those guys that we talked about in our draft podcast as like someone we could see doing really well, even though it is his like rookie motocross season. I mean, he's spent a lot of time on the bike through like supercross, and he obviously kicked ass last year in the outdoors with the 250s. And I could see him as he like progresses through this season, just doing better and better. And I would have liked to have him on my team. Didn't work out, but yeah, Justin Cooper's legit for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, he got fourth place. I mean, that's probably, if I had him on my team, where I'd be predicting him around that fourth. But I fully expect him to take a few opportunistic podiums this season.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I could see that. I mean, it looked like he was going to hold on to that podium, but Chase Sexton kind of laid it to him there. But yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of the fast guys. And another guy that I was wanting to talk about, I mean, Jason Anderson looked really, really good too. Um, uh, he was hanging up there with the like big boys, and battling with the Lawrences and everything. I was curious to see if any kind of run over from the Supercross incident was like going to rear its head in the like motocross, but it looked like they were being pretty respectful, not trying to make any lifelong enemies out there.
Yeah. I agree, and he was definitely better in the first moto than the second. I mean, a third in the first moto, and then kind of sloughed off a little bit in the second one with the fifth. But I mean, good stuff from someone who is, I mean, will personally admit he is not the motocross specialist; he's a supercross specialist.
Yeah, it's true.
And then sixth place, Dylan Ferrandis, who I've got on my team. Honestly, I'm a little bit underwhelmed with Ferrandis in this year. I know he's not on a factory team, but he's been so stoked about the Honda and, what he's going to be able to do on it. And it's been a little bit lackluster from someone who is a relatively recent 450 outdoor champion. But I will take consistency from Ferrandis, which looks like he's gonna be able to put some together. Sixth place. What did he get on the last race?
Sixth and an
Fourth.
eighth.
So.
Last race. Gotcha.
Yeah. Fox Raceway, he was fourth place, but yeah, 6-8 moto finishes for 6 overall. So, yeah, I'm predicting Ferrandis around the 5th range on my team right now. Is just split the difference.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like where I'd have him too, but it seems like maybe I would honestly do 6th. I mean, not, 5th, 6th, here nor there, but it could cost you a win. But I would probably go in the 6th range if it were me. It just seems like, with the like new bike and everything, he's like not on that factory ride. And it seems like any given week, he just might not have what it takes to get the top 5s, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. By the way, if anyone wants to see some details about our league, we always post the matchup results. Check us out, Speed League Fantasy, Instagram, Facebook, all those stupid places. And if you're not playing, speedleaguefantasy.com. This is totally free. The season's already started, but you can still jump in and play the rest of the season and draft with your league if you want to. Totally free, fun game, speedleaguefantasy.com. Okay, 450 class, anybody else?
I think that's about it.
Okay, so on to the 250 class, and a dominant yet eccentric ride, let's say, from Hayden Deegan. What did you think of that crash? It's one of the most acrobatic crashes I've ever seen.
Yeah, that crash was crazy, and it's like weird how crashes work. I mean, Jet went down super, super hard, got back up, and then finished the race. Deegan goes down, does a freaking 720 on his bike, and then goes and kind of lands softly, and then gets up and is still like on the gas.
But he was on his feet less than a second after he hit the ground. Yeah, props to that. I mean, he did not even have a split second of hesitation.
Yeah, but you like then see guys, like Austin Faulkner crash, and it just always seems like, they don't land on their feet like that. So there is just a huge part of luck being involved. Like, I mean, like easily Deegan could have been out for the season with that crash. If he like kind of rolls over and lands on his head, not his feet, I mean, that could be a totally different story. But Deegan has really, really impressed me this year. He's been riding hard, riding fast, and like he's been taking those like outside lines a lot when it seems like a lot of other people kind of tend to do like the inside line, maybe like the middle line. But Deegan loves just staying on the gas, leaning it over and pinning it through like all the turns. And it really seems like that is, one of the fastest lines. He like passed so many people setting up on the outside, cutting it in, more speed, more momentum for the straightaways and the rollers. And it was cool to see him hitting that line. He's really impressed me this season.
Yeah, and you know what? The way he was riding, I mean, we were talking about him having crazy acrobatic crashes and possibly getting injured. I think the way he's riding, that looks like the only thing that's going to stop him this year is if something catastrophic like that happens. Because, I mean, the closest rivals at this point are obviously Vial and Kitchen, but they pretty much seem like they're fighting for second at this point. Like Deegan is able to handily beat them.
Yeah, for sure. And also, Kitchen, real quick. He's like second in points right now. He's been super consistent, and like he is my podium pick of the week next week. And I know that guys like Deegan are like probably faster. Vial looks super good this week. But like Kitchen has just been riding his race super consistent. Got 2-2 in the first race or first moto last week at Fox. This week 3-3, and he's not winning the races, but he's there if like anything happens. If like Deegan's riding over his head and crashes, maybe Vial has a stinker like he did week 1. But I've liked what I've seen from Kitchen. I know that maybe someone wanted more, someone that like drafted Kitchen wanted to see him getting those wins, but he's been super consistent, and like consistency does pay off over a like long 11 race season. I think Kitchen's going to surprise us, get some wins, and I think he's going to get on the podium next week, and that's why he's my podium lock of the week.
No, I totally agree. I'm stoked to have him on my team. Had him for Supercross and now for motocross. I'm Kitchen all year now. But he's another thing that's so huge, like we were just talking about in the 450s, is he's such a good starter. I mean,
Yeah.
his starts were 2-3 over the whole shot line in Moto 1 and 2 this week. I mean, that's consistency wise better than anybody else. He's always up there and he's flying. And look, I mean, even if he continues to just do this for the entire season, maybe picks up a win or two and loses this championship to Hayden Deegan, this will have been a massive step forward in his motocross racing career. And as someone who's, kind of just emerging and coming onto the scene, that's huge. And that puts him in an awesome position for next year. So, I mean, yeah, just because he's not beating Hayden Deegan every single week does not make this a failure by any means. Viao, on the other hand, I mean, pulled off a second this week, but I kind of have thought that I was going to see more from Viao.
Yeah, so like Vial was our number 1 ranked 250 guy going into like motocross. He obviously won Supercross, looked like he was definitely on the upward trajectory. He is more of like an outdoor specialist. So we thought, he was just going to kind of ride that wave and come in and like, be like winning races left and right and outdoor. And it hasn't really worked out that way. I mean, the first week, first moto 4, second moto 3, so it's not terrible. And then first moto this week, a 4 again. And then it just clicked, I guess, on the second moto. Granted, Deegan crashed, so I mean, who knows what would have happened, but it just hopefully he could use this again as a like momentum confidence boost, because they talked a lot about Vial and like Supercross when he started winning races. He had more of a like confidence and like chutzpah to him when he was walking around the pits. And in all sports, especially racing sports, that really matters. Like when you build that confidence, have that confidence, it like goes a long way. So I'm curious to see if Vial is gonna say, "Hey, look, I'm like capable of winning," and then start doing what he did in Supercross and like winning these things.
Yeah. And Vial is now getting beat by the guy that he just beat in the Supercross championship, Hayden Deegan.
Yeah.
So, it's I definitely want to see more from him, and I think it's there. But yeah, Deegan looks pretty unassailable unless he goes helicoptering again right now. It doesn't really seem like anyone's going to beat him. But working the way a little further down, Chance Hymas obviously with an awesome ride in fourth place, beating his factory Honda teammate Joe Shimoda, who again we're expecting more out of after his last season. A quiet fifth place this week, not super good for Joe.
Yeah, and like really, I'm like Vial is like one thing because he's been doing decent. He has a race win now, but Shimoda to me has been way more of a letdown. I mean, like I haven't heard his name even on the broadcast, I don't think,
Yeah.
through these first two races. And like he was the top finishing 250 outdoor rider that is still riding 250s this year. So we thought he was,
Yeah.
okay, it's here like for the taking. You got, I believe it was third last year, and now the top two guys are gone. It's all yours, Joe. And he like actually showed a lot of promise in like Supercross. I was expecting a lot more from Joe, but he's just kind of skating around, doing what he does. But I like wish that Joe would step it up. Maybe he will, because I know that he like had that injury that like wasn't really kind of talked about too much. But after the last race of Supercross, he was seen on crutches. So I know that he might not be 100% coming back from that injury, but hopefully he could heal up, get 100%, and then give some of these guys a run for their money.
Yeah, but I mean, we definitely, I'm looking down the results list. We saw more of Ty Masterpool on the broadcast than we
Yeah.
did Joe Shimoda. I mean, Ty with a super good start, and I believe the second moto, and then faded pretty hard by the end of it. But I'm getting some TV time at least for his fill-in PC ride.
Yeah, and I actually subbed him in. We like talked about earlier my little debacle I have with my two injured riders, and like me and Kelly. So like how our like site works is 24 hours after the race, everything resets. So like, that's when all the riders that were substituted in go back to the available roster, and you could make moves. And like what I do, and like Kelly does also, because we take this game pretty seriously, is I set my alarm for 12:59 or like 1 minute before it's gonna reset, and then I go on there, and of course I see Kelly's little green bubble. Kelly's on there. I'm like, oh god, and like I don't know what Kelly does. I think he might be hacking the site, but whenever it is me and him going head to head on who could hit refresh first to like pick up, the guys that we want, Kelly gets him every single time. So I think that it's something to do with the like computer programming. He like programs something in to make his like refresh button faster.
Oh
But
yeah, that's what's going to happen. I think it has to do with your AOL dial-up internet that you're rocking over there in the Speedly garage.
could be.
It's doing all the weird fax machine noises when you're trying to refresh the
You've
page
got
and
mail.
pick somebody up.
Yeah,
But
like Kelly got Hymas, I got Masterpool. I mean, I wish that I would have got Hymas, but Masterpool is not a bad pickup. I mean, he's been doing all right. First race or first week, it's sort of confusing saying first race, second race when there's two motos, but week one didn't do that well, but like week two did a little better. So hopefully he could pull it all together now, and week three get me a W.
yeah. And by the way, if there are any other people that are taking the game as seriously as we are and playing this game of, waiting for the 24-hour window to end, we do have some things that we potentially want to do. We like the idea of actually having sort of an official waiver wire and maybe the ability to like request a priority pickup. So if you're last place in your league, you can, make a request for a rider and get them. But yeah, among some of the features that should be coming up for Speed League, we got some pretty cool plans.
And we are like a growing site, changing site, and we're like trying to add stuff as like constantly as we can, as they come up. And if there's anything you guys would like to see on our site, changes or enhancements or something like that, please let us know. Send us a message on like whatever platform you like follow us on, and we'll like definitely get back to you super quick, and then kind of get in a like conversation about what you want to see, and hopefully you could see those implemented here in the future.
Yeah. I know one of the requests we get from people a lot is the ability to add more players to their league. which we definitely want to figure out a way to do at some point. The problem is, unlike fantasy football, where, you got 32 teams with, however many players on them, and, supercross, motocross, I mean, supercross, 22 guys in the main event. We have a little bit more in motocross, but still, I mean, a lot of them are kind of no-name guys that are, there one week, not there the next, and maybe not even scoring points. So there's balance that we need to have with, especially when you think about supercross. If we had 8 players in the league, you might have a couple guys on your team that aren't even making the main event. So all in the name of creating balance. But I mean, you guys could tell we play the game too, and we make changes that we want to see. So all right. Anyways, moving on down the list here. We talked about Joe Shimoda. Pierce Brown in 6th place. He's actually doing better than we thought he was going to. Jalik Swoll, I've got on my team, I think, with a dead-on prediction in 7th. He's doing really, really well this year. Julian Beaumer, saw him on TV a fair amount. Anybody catch your eye?
I mean, like next 10th, Casey Cochran got the number 1 fastest overall qualifier out of nowhere.
I know. That was weird.
And he did it legit too. It wasn't like, and like Group B came out first and then Group A, it started raining and the track was all fucked up. I mean, he just was out there with the big boys and went around the fastest. He like really didn't perform as well as I'm sure Scrubbing Triples would have thought, because like Scrubbing Triples went in there as soon as he saw qualifying and actually picked up Casey Cochran as like a permanent guy on his team. But I mean, still, I mean,
where
who
did he
knows?
predict him? Now I want to check now.
First.
Casey Cochran. Oh, wait, did he actually not even keep him in?
I saw that he picked him up.
I saw that too. I think he picked him up and then subbed him out for somebody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, fair enough.
Anyways, but yeah, a crazy qualifying, but the 10th place with a 12-12 moto finish, which I'm not even quite sure how mathematically that worked out. But I mean, look, that's better than we probably would have expected from Casey Cochran. 10th place is definitely higher up than he was on the rankings. So worth picking up in your league if he's available.
Yeah, so like down here in 14th place, someone that had a rough night is like Joey Savacci. He was kind of one of those guys in the draft. Kelly took a risk on him. Someone who like has a lot of time riding, and has like been out there before, but like no means a rookie. And like Kelly kind of took a chance thinking he was going to perform, and it hasn't really worked out as well as Kelly or Joey might think. But I think that he's just kind of getting used to the bike, getting used to this like 250 and the outdoors.
Well, it's also not really fair when the bike blows up in the first moto. I mean, he had to walk off from a top 10 in the first moto. In the second moto, he finished in 7th. Look, Joey Savacci is my deeper pick for this upcoming week. And I mean, it's partly because I believe he's going to do better, and partly because, please, Joey, do better, because I drafted you on my team and I've got you predicted higher up. But look, he's up there in the top 10s. He was probably going to get a 7th or better overall before this issue happened with his bike, which is completely out of his hands in Moto 1. So deeper pick for next week, Joey Savacci. It's going to come together. Prediction 7th.
So I had all that smooth buildup, Kelly, because I was going to end it with, he's my deeper pick of the week, and you just swooped in and took that from me. But I, too, have, liked what I see from him, think that it's all, all going to work out for him if his bike stays running. So I have him deeper pick, also predicted 7th. So, 2 fantasy motocross pros predicting him 7th. If someone has like Joey Savacci out there and is a little bummed out, he will do better. He will come back. So hopefully not when Kelly plays me, but yes, he will.
Yeah, I really hope so too, because I mean, not only have I drafted him, but I also, after this race, when I wanted to go get Hymus, I was really faced with a tough decision of who to drop to grab Chance Hymus. I have Jalik Swoll on my team also. He's been doing really good. I didn't even really want to consider him because he's been so solid. But the two I was choosing between were Savachi and Jordan Smith, and I ended up dropping Jordan Smith. And Jordan Smith honestly should be a top 10 guy as well. So, yeah, really putting a lot behind Joey Savachi.
And actually, Jordan Smith was my backup sleeper pick because he hasn't looked that good, so far. But like he's had some like crashes, some like issues, and he's so fast. I mean, he was battling for the Supercross championship, and I get that like some people are like specialists, like some people better at outdoor, some people better at Supercross. But I mean, that dude is fast on a dirt bike. And I think that he is going to turn it around. So again, if you have someone like Jordan Smith, do not drop him unless you have a chance to pick up Chance Hymus. That is the only time that you're able to that I would approve of.
All right. I think that's all we got. So next week is going to be Thunder Valley.
Thunder Valley.
Yeah, that's a cool race. I think that's some elevation there, which always makes things a little bit more interesting. But yeah, who do we think between Sexton and Jet?
Sounds like the opposite to me. A valley is at high elevation. It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, you're right, but I think I'm right.
Thunder Valley Mountain. So
who we got?
I have Sexton.
Sexton and Jet. What do you think?
I think that like both 100% Jet all day long. Obviously, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, but I don't think Jet's going to be 100%. I think Sexton smells blood, and I think Sexton's going to go out giving it everything that he has with 100% body, and I think Sexton's going to pull it off.
I love the Sexton bet, and I mean, even with 100% Jet, I think Sexton can give him a run for his money right now. But just for the sake of being contrarian, I'll say Jet for next week. You want to go cheeseburger bet on this?
Ding ding
cheeseburger
ding,
bet.
Cheeseburger bet. Yes, let's do it.
On Jet and Chase Sexton. I think Jet is young and resilient. I think he's going to bounce, and I think he's going to come right back and win it. But we shall see. That's all we got. We'll see you guys next time.
Good luck.